Yay! Yay, it's me. I'm on my own. I have been abandoned by James this week. He is in sunny Dubai, and I'm sure we're going to hear all about it when he comes back. I'm seeing lots of photos on social media, but I'm not totally alone because I've got a guest. And because it was just me, I thought, who do I want to spend some time, some quality time with? And we're very lucky. So obviously you're not going to get the polished introduction you would normally get from James because I don't use auto cue. I'm going to attempt to read and look at you at the same time. Bear with me. So our guest this week was a chartered accountant for over 30 years. For the last 20 years, he has been showing us how to be more effective and confident networkers when attending physical events. Since COVID, he has been teaching us how to do the same online. He's the author of the best-selling book, Business Networking, The Survival Guide. And today he's going to be taking us from working the room to working the Zoom. Please welcome my very good friend, Will Kintish. Will, how are you?
I'm in fine form, Maria. Thank you for asking. Yeah, really good. I've moved from Manchester, where I lived all my life until 2 months ago, and I now live down here in a place called Elstree, which is in Hertfordshire, and I just love it. And do you know what the big difference is, Maria? It's not the fact that the northerners are friendlier than the southerners, but there's more sunshine down here.
Is there really? So it's not,
No
there is more
doubt.
sunshine.
No
Ah,
doubt,
interesting.
guarantee it. Every day I compare what I look out of the window here and look at the Manchester weather forecast, and it's sunny here, and in Manchester it's cloudy or rainy. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, listen, this networking thing, it's not easy, and there's a lot of us don't particularly like it, and I want you to help us. So, but before we start, what would you say networking's all about? What's the whole point?
What it's all about is not you, it's all about the other person. It's all about giving of yourself. It's about being interested rather than being too interesting. That is the really big thing, Maria. People, you started off by saying a lot of people don't like it, they're nervous because they're focusing too much on themselves. The key to the whole thing is, I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to meet some nice people and I'm going to ask them about themselves and what they're interested in. That is the whole key. It's about them.
That takes the pressure off, doesn't it, really? Because the focus, as you said, the focus is not on you, it's on the other person. So that should make it a lot easier and straight away. I like that. Brilliant. Um, what's changed then since lockdown? Has networking changed, or I mean, the principle must be the same, right?
100% right. The principle is exactly the same. Do you know the crazy thing, Maria, about what I do? Whether I existed or not, you, me, and everybody in the world, we network from the age of 2. Networking, take it down to its absolute basics. It's just talking to people. That's all it is, isn't it? So I've been earning a living for 20 years teaching people how to talk to each other. Yay! But
And
really,
actually, what's lovely, Will, because we were talking earlier, you've had the busiest month you've had in such a long time as well. So clearly, people are realizing they need some help. They've got a bit rusty.
well, they have. And I really believe next year, 2022, when business events and networking events open up, people are going to want my advice to help them. Because you asked me what is the difference. The major difference is that we've had to network through this little square that we're on here, rather than walking into that room and having to see people. But at the end of the day, whether it's Zoom or room, networking is building relationships. Simple as that. Know, I'm sure you've heard the 3 words, know, like, and trust. So we can get to like people online and get them to like us. We can trust people online. So it can be exactly the same. So the 2 key issues we have about networking that a lot of people don't get is they don't ask enough questions and they don't follow up when they spot a potential opportunity. So whether it's Zoom or room, if you can do those 2 properly, questioning and following up, then it doesn't matter whether it's virtual or real.
I'm making notes, Will. Um, that's great. Do you know what I love about Zoom as opposed to Room, which it has helped me a great deal? I mean, it's crazy because I worked in speaker bureaus for years, but I have a really bad memory for names, which is not good when you work in a speaker bureau and you're trying to recommend speakers. But what I like on the Zoom is I've got your name in front of me. It's there and it's next to your face. So I'm much more likely to remember. When you're in a room, often you have a badge and it's probably facing the wrong way. Or if it's on a lady, it's probably in the middle of her breasts and you don't really want to look there. Or it's tucked under your hair, or is the typing so small you have to put your glasses on and peer. So I quite like that. There is an advantage, isn't there, online?
First of all, when you wear a badge for the rest of your life, Maria, first of all, get yourself a magnetic badge so you can put it anywhere you want, and always wear it on your right hand side, because when you're shaking hands, they look you in the eye, they look down your arm, and there is your name.
Ah.
And you know this thing about forgetting people's names? That is not right. It's not that we forget their name. It's that we're just not listening. We're so worried about getting it all right. Good eye contact, nice smile, good handshake. But we forget the key. I left accountancy to do what I'm doing now because I went on a management course run by an organization that I'm sure you'll know of. He wrote the most famous book on networking, and there was no mention of networking. The book was written in 1936. It was called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Oh,
Now,
brilliant
when
book.
you think about that, think about the title, How to Win Friends and Influence. That is what networking is. And one of the many timeless quotes he came out with, which I have to quote every time I present, when people say to me, I'm not good at names, I say this: a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. So when you go up to somebody at an event, yes, you have to smile. Yes, you have a nice handshake. Yes, you have to eye contact. But as they give their name, think this is a very important start of a relationship, and I have to listen for their name. And I bet you get lots of Maries rather than Marias. Is that possible?
Yeah, Marie, Mary. Yes, I often get my name pronounced wrong. Yeah, and it's not a difficult name, really, Maria. I appreciate the surname is hard, but the actual first name is not.
So here's 2 tips. Number one, listening for their name. We'll deal with your name in a second, but listening for their name, they say, oh, hi, my name's Maria Franzoni. You immediately say, hello, Maria. Nice to meet you. But listen, it's not hard. It's only one word. And if we're in a noisy room, Maria, and you give your name very quickly and I don't hear it, I will say to you, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Tell me again. Because
Mm,
that way I'm giving to you my genuine interest. I do want to know your name. And you're never going to say to me, hey, Will, I've told you once, I'm not going to tell you again. You're never
no,
going to
of course,
say that.
of course.
But let me help you with
Mm.
your name. This is the James Bond reverse way of introducing yourself. As you well know, he goes as, my name is Bond, James Bond. If you want people to get your name more clearly perhaps than in the past, try it like this. My name is Maria, pause, Maria Franzoni. So give your name twice, and hopefully say it slowly, say it clearly, and hopefully they will call you by the name you have on your birth certificate.
Worst case scenario, I'll start singing the song from West Side Story. So that will remind them. Oh
Absolutely.
dear. So we've actually got somebody saying, hi guys, a Facebook user. I don't know who it is because they haven't identified themselves, but hello. And if you have any questions, do feel free to ask questions, which I'm very happy to ask Will. So you mentioned shaking hands. We're not really, are we supposed to shake hands at the moment? I suppose we have to touch elbows now, don't we?
Well, I'm starting to go to events, and I am starting to go out to social things, and I sort of tentatively put my hand out to test the water. And most of the time, people are now shaking hands, but I will, when in doubt, do nout. Nout is a northern word, If I'm not sure, I'll say, shall we shake hands or shall we do this? So best to ask. Best to
Yeah,
ask.
my man's from Yorkshire. I understand Nout.
Oh, good.
I've learned a bit of Yorkshire. It's fantastic. So, what would you say are, by the way, our Facebook user is Andy Lapata. Now, he knows a little bit about networking, doesn't he? So, hopefully, he will add some great value to Andy. No pressure. We're looking for some value from you too. So, tell me, what are the key skills needed to be a top class networker? Would you say?
Number one is to have the attitude of turning up. Woody Allen said, 80% of success is just turning up. Then you asked me about the skills, but just before I give you the skills, it's about the personality traits. It's about being kind. It's about sharing. And that is the key to the whole thing. And the greatest gift we can give, Maria, to somebody else is our undivided attention. And the way we do that, and I find that wherever I go, although I'd like to be a little bit in the background, I always seem to be the one who asks the first question. Always. Ask questions, show genuine interest. And then if you ever spot an opportunity to either A, help them, or you see a business opportunity for yourself, always follow up. You know, there are millions of networking criminals in this world, you know, Maria. The networking criminal spots the opportunity, it hits them between the eyes, and they don't follow up. And why don't they follow up?
That was my next question. Why don't they follow up? Yeah.
Well, you know, if they want my services, they'll come to me, or I don't know what to say. Or if I do say, can I call you? They've got this big fear of rejection. And this is the key. You, me, Andy, and hopefully other people listening to this, we all have an area of expertise, experience, and knowledge for which we will charge this amount of money for that. And unless I'm talking to con men or con women, we're going to charge that fee. But the value that I expect our clients to get from it is that much. So by following up, we're offering them a gift. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
We're doing
Absolutely.
them this is crazy, this, Maria, but we're doing them a favor to do business with them. I do a
Yeah.
lot of work with university people. These are post-grad people who are going to be looking for a job. And they say, well, should I follow up once or twice or three times? I say, get to the third time. And then at that point, offer an escape route. Say, look, I'm beginning to think I'm pestering. Please give me guidance. If you don't want me to follow up anymore, tell me. Because what I say to these graduates who are very clever and are very valuable people, they're going to pay you 50,000, whatever the currency is. They're going to pay you 50,000, but they expect to get out of you 150,000, whatever that is. So follow up, keep in touch.
Absolutely.
So following up is so important, but you must always offer the escape route. You say, look, I've chased you 3 times now. If you don't want me, tell me. We don't like hearing no, but no is the second best answer after yes.
Yes, no answer at all is awful, isn't it? So we have another comment. I think this might be Andy, who says people don't follow up because they see networking events as an individual activity that finish when they leave, rather than a way to help them to build and nurture relationships for life. Wow, that's profound, isn't it? And we've also got, I use Will's escape route all the time and share it with clients with the appropriate credit, of course. It's brilliant and works so often. I don't know who these are. If you haven't given Facebook permission, we don't know who you are. So just sign your comments so we know, because there's great content there. Did you want to respond to either of those 2 comments?
Yeah, but I forgot. I loved the first one.
So the first one was people don't follow up because they see networking as an individual activity
Yeah,
that finishes when
yeah.
they leave.
Right, yes. Networking or going to events is the platform to start the relationship. So yes, I'm underlining what that person said. That is the start of it. And what do we do in real practical terms? If somebody says to me, Maria, do you know what? I've got a team who really won't go out. Whatever I do, they won't go. That is called the aha moment, the light bulb moment. And that indicates to me the start of the follow-up. So I ask a few more questions, and then I say, Maria, shall we exchange business cards? Because business cards are still in use. By the way, the most important thing about business cards is to get theirs. So I've got your card. You've indicated that you might have a need for my services. We've got a long way to go down that relationship. I've got your card. I look at it. I don't put it in my pocket. That's the worst thing you can do with the business card. I look at the card. There's always something to find out on it. So with your name, Franzoni, I might say, is that Italian origin or something like that? Where did you get the name from? And then I'll ask the big question. Do you remember a few minutes ago, Maria, you said you had a team of people who don't go networking. Now isn't the time to discuss it in detail, but how do you feel about me giving you a call later in the week, and let's continue the conversation then? And if you think it's relevant, we'll meet up and you'll explain more about it. That is the bridge between going to the event and moving to the next stage.
And probably making a note somewhere on that business card, because by the time you come out and you've got 10 or 12 business cards, you've probably forgotten who you've said what to and what their problem was. That's the problem for me. So you have to go in the corner and make a little note.
Right. Okay. Let's go back to that. If I've got on really well with that person, you talk about writing. If I say to you, Maria, how do you feel about me calling you? And your body language is giving positive vibes. I will say to you, now I know I'm going to be around all day on Wednesday. Is it okay if I call you Wednesday? You say yes. I say, because I don't want, and I'll do it in front of you, because I don't want to forget, do you mind if I just jot Wednesday down on the back of the card? And that's
Lovely.
That's like a bit of a contract. So when I phone you up, I'll say, hi, Maria, it's Will Kintish here. Do you remember we met last week at Andy Lapata's networking event? You'll say yes. Then a bit of small talk. And then I'll throw back the aha moment at you. Do you remember last week we were talking about business development for your team? And you said, because I had written it down on the back of the card, you said you had a team of people. I'm phoning today to see if we can get together.
Lovely, lovely, brilliant. I hope you're all making notes out there. That's really great. You said that people don't ask enough questions. Help us get started with a couple of questions that you can ask, because you're sort of standing in front of someone and your mind might go blank. What might be a good question to ask? So we've just met.
Okay. There are 4 areas of questioning: the icebreaker, the business questions, the small talk questions, and the follow-up questions. We've done the follow-up questions. How do you feel about me contacting you? The icebreaker question, a lot of people ask me this one. Never start with, hello, nice to meet you. What do you do? That's boring. And we're going straight into the business. My question to you, Maria, meeting you for the first time. Nice to meet you. Where have you traveled from today? So if it's a conference, what made you attend this conference? What are you hoping to get out of it? If you and I have both been invited to a Christmas party by Barclays Bank, I'll say, who is your contact here at Barclays Bank? Or finally, if we're in this magnificent hall with a fabulous chandelier, I'll say, isn't this a fabulous hall? So in other words, find something in common relating to the moment, the first moment that I'm meeting you. We're in the same space at the same event. Use those facts to start your icebreaker.
Fantastic. So Asa McGrath has said, this is amazing information. I'm new to speaking and also new to the page. Welcome, Ace. I hope you'll join us more often. Thank you, Will. That's great. I love that. I would have gone in and say, what do you do? So I didn't realize I thought I was quite good at networking. I'm learning so much. It's terrible. I'm not. We're slowly returning to physical events, and I think we'll still have a bit more disruption, but people do have fears around work in the room. Is it because they don't know all this wonderful stuff you're sharing with us, or are there other fears around it?
There are 3 fears we all have: fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, and fear of failure. Fear of rejection. Will anyone talk to me? Well, here's the key, Maria. If I'm only asked to give one piece of advice about working the room, get there early. By getting there early, you haven't got to walk in and see that horror scene. Everybody's already formed in groups and you've got to get in, particularly if you don't know anybody. You get there early and you see one or two other early birds and you start to chat and you do the icebreaker that I've already told you. And so when people say, will anyone talk to me? I say, I couldn't care less whether they talk to you. You go up to them. So you're standing against the wall, because people on their own always stand against the wall. Oh, hello, please may I introduce myself? My name's Will. I often just use my first name. And you'll say, oh, I'm Maria. Oh, hi, Maria, nice to meet you. Where have you travelled from today? And off it goes. So that's fear of rejection. Fear of the unknown. Well, as you know, we're going to offer everybody a gift after this, and it's my 28-page pocket book of how to work a room. Every room you've ever been in and every room you're ever going to go into for the rest of your lives is always formatted in exactly the same way. Whether it's a party, whether it's a conference, whether it's a business networking event, whether it's a wedding or a funeral or even a bar mitzvah, there are only ever 6 groups in a room. There is the person standing on their own. There are couples who stand in open format. There are couples who stand in closed format. There are trios who stand in like a quadrant or a semicircle. There are trios who stand in a triangle. And then there are the groups of 4 or more, either a square or a circle. So there are 3 groups. Their body language is open. The person on their own, the open 2 and the open 3, I call them the greens. They are waiting to be approached. But if you don't know anybody in closed 2s, closed 3s, or 4 or more, you're not going to be as welcomed in as you, I call those the reds. You're not going to be as welcomed in as you are the greens. And the later you get there, the more the groups will be red, for obvious reasons, because even the introverted introvert, somebody will have dragged them into a group and it's already closed. So that is the fear of the unknown. From now on, everybody, that shouldn't be an unknown. You walk in there and you read the room, you analyze the room, and then you go up to somebody or a little group that looks open and you simply eye contact them if it's a 2 or a 3 and say, hello, everyone, please may I join you? Simple as that. Please may I join you? And nobody will ever say, get lost, we don't like the look of you, because it doesn't happen. And then we have fear of failure. Most of my market, most of my audiences are people in the professional, financial, academic and technical worlds. People between the age of 25 and 45. And their fear is that they'll get involved in conversations with people where they feel inadequate. They feel a bit of a failure because they don't fully know what's going on. And again, I say to them, for goodness sake, if you don't know, show your vulnerability. So I'm sorry, Maria, I don't understand that. Can you explain to me what you mean about that? And people will be absolutely delighted to explain what it's all about. Simple. There should be, the only failure there is not asking that question. I don't want people going home thinking, I wish I'd asked that. I wish I'd got their business card. Fear is temporary. Regret is permanent. Have you ever heard that?
Goodness gracious, you're very philosophical today, Will. That's really profound, really. I need you in my pocket when I go networking, or in my ear. I'll take you with me next time. Brilliant, I love that. So all of the advice you're giving here works in person or online, really. All of the questions, the follow-up, the obviously you haven't got the issue of the groups, because often when we're doing networking online, you're actually put into little breakout rooms where it's actually even easier because you're all encouraged to talk to each other. And I've been to many events where there's networking before the formal event starts. And it's quite a good idea to go, because you can then obviously build some relationships before the conference begins or ends. So in many ways, the Zoom is easier than the room, isn't it? So
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
What are the main mistakes people make, would you say? Or have you covered those?
The main mistakes about networking is A, they don't turn up at all. B, they don't show genuine interest in the other person, or they talk too much, or they don't follow up. There's nothing hard in any of this, Maria. It's so, to me, it's so obvious what to do. It really is. I mean, I met a couple yesterday. We went walking. I haven't seen them for 40 odd years. And you know what? He asked me, we were out for 3 or 4 hours, his wife and I, me and my wife, and I had to keep the conversation going the whole time. And it was really hard. I had to ask him about this and about that. Oh, there is something I'd like to share with you. This couple who are like me, well, no, they're in their early 70s. They were never able to have children. And over the years, they've looked after their nephews and nieces because the sister-in-law died, so they've looked after the brother's children. But they've never had children. But let me just go back a moment to about asking questions. I've talked about the icebreaker question. The one thing I haven't talked about is the small talk questions. The small talk is the glue that binds the relationship. So one of the questions I ask people after I've done the business talk is, so what do you do when you're not working? Now, one question or two questions people sometimes ask, which causes upset and embarrassment, which I want my listeners today to never, ever ask. Never ask, are you married and have you got children? Because when you ask the wrong person, So can you imagine that couple they've been married 50 years? Can you imagine the number of times they tell me about your family and how many times probably inside they cried? But if you say to people, so what do you do when you're not working? If people have got family or a significant other, they say, we do this, or I take the kids here. So you can get round finding out about people's personal circumstances, but just be sensitive about it.
That is such good advice. I haven't had children, and I've had some very awkward discussions in the past. So I really appreciate that. That's less awkward now that I'm too old. So tell me, here's one thing that I've struggled with, and we've talked about this before, because again, I've handled it very badly. When you want to move on, you've been having a chat with someone and it's clear it's time to move on. You want to move on because you want to meet other people, or you realize that actually the two of you probably haven't got any connection or any benefit. You can't give each other any value, but they're on their own. And how do you move on without being embarrassing?
It's as simple as this. You say, so if I realize you don't know anybody and you are a bit nervous, I've got to take you under my wing and look after you. Because I told you before, first principle of networking is to be kind, is to share, is to give. So rather than say, well, Maria, it's nice to have met you, but I'm going to mingle. It's a bit like saying, well, Maria, it's nice to have met you, but you know what? There's more interesting people here than you. Here it is. Here's the big one. Maria, shall we go and mingle? I'll take you with me.
Goodness, that's so obvious. I've made every mistake.
Come on. Oh, they seem nice. Let's go and join them over there. And you go and join them. And you don't make it obvious, but what happens is you start talking to Andy, I start talking to Brenda, and after a few moments or a while, I might then just leave, and I'll leave you, Maria, with that group. So in other words, it's called parking. I parked you into a group, but I've done it with sensitivity. Now, you will know of all people this very famous quote, and I often finish my talks with this, and it's totally relevant to networking. It's from that very famous lady, Maya Angelou. She said the following: as I look back over my life, I've forgotten what people said to me, I've forgotten what people did to me, but I never forgot how people made me feel. And the whole objective of showing your success at the end of the day is that people feel good about you. Because the crazy thing is, networking's nothing to do with business, particularly not in the early stages of a relationship.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. Will, you have given us so much value. I cannot thank you enough. And you're giving us more because you're giving us a 28-page pocketbook that you mentioned, covering lots of ideas on how to develop your networking skills. And if this is a sample of how much great content you share, great value, people can grab that from speakingbusiness.tv website. They can also, I imagine, grab it from your website. Is that right?
No,
Kintish.
no,
No?
they can't get it. I mean,
Okay.
if they just link in with me with a personal invitation and say, can I have the 28-page pocket guide because I was on Maria's TV show, then they will get it today, yes, or tomorrow at the latest.
Fantastic. And so you're on LinkedIn, and you're on LinkedIn as Will Kintish, and your website, if anybody wants to have a look at what else you do and what else you talk about with regards to networking, it's kintish.co.uk. And you've also got a tip that you'd like to share. Do you remember you shared this a while ago with me? So you remember what we had about looking for every opportunity? Do you remember that? No, let me tell you, the tip you shared with me was look for every and any opportunity to share your knowledge and expertise, which is the very form of marketing. Is that right? Was that your tip?
The best way of marketing ourselves is to give away our knowledge. Don't be mean with our knowledge. The more we tell, the more we sell.
Oh, I
Simple
like
as
that. The
Yeah.
more we tell, the more we sell. Will, I'm going to end it there. Such wise words. And I'm going to just see, we've got a couple of comments. Let's just see what they, so somebody's asking about your website address. And yes, you're correct. Ace, that's correct. Great stuff, Will. Thank you. And that's Andy. Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm going to let everybody go with our lovely closing music. Thank you, Will. You've been a superstar. Really
Thanks for
appreciate it.
inviting me. Thanks, Maria.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.